Welcome, adventurers. What's going on, guys? My name is Cody. This is Taking 20, and we are going to have a little bit of fun this month. Well, this plus, like, part of next month, I think. Like February to March fun. So here's what's going on. We are going to have a little bit of fun because I came across something that I was like, yes, I want to do that. That sounds like a blast. That sounds like it's going to be kind of hard. It's a lot of videos. It's hard. But anyways, we're going to do it. So I want to do the 30-day Dungeons and Dragons challenge. I came across this challenge online for the 30-day D&D challenge, and dude, it looked like a ton of fun. And so I thought, what the hell? I'll give it a shot. But here's the catch. This isn't something that I just want to do because who wants to just listen to one guy talk about all their D&D experiences? It could be fun. It will be fun. It will be the most fun of all time ever. So here's what's going on. We are going to have a lot of fun doing this series, but I need you guys to buy in. I need you guys to help me. I need you guys to do the challenge with me. We're going to start with today. Today is day 1 of the 30-day D&D challenge. And so today's challenge is, how did you get started playing in Dungeons and Dragons? So I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started. Okay, so how did I get introduced to Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role-playing games? The problem with this question is I don't think it's that simple, right? I can't just be like, listen, here's exactly when, because the answer is a little complicated because of my parents. Let me just give you the quick rundown. I'm 29, right? And so that means I'm about to be 30 this year, and that means that I grew up in the 90s with Hey Arnold and Cat Dog and Angry Beavers and all that stuff. And so yeah, that was a show. 2 Angry Beavers or something like that for you youngins. And I live in Texas. I'm right here in the middle of the heart of Dallas Fort Worth, and my dad, he thought he was a he thought he was a cowboy because we lived in Texas. Funny thing is, he grew up in Samoa, like on an island. He was a surfer. Fast forward to the 90s where I'm, growing up, and he's a cowboy hat wearing, cowboy boot wearing Texan, if you will. No farm. We didn't have a farm. We lived next to the airport. There was no Dungeons and Dragons in our house, right? He wasn't having any of that. That was not even a possibility. I got introduced first to the game by a kid that I grew up with, one of my best friends at the time, Chad Brown, and Danny Ely, another really good friend of mine, and Chad's older brother, Clay. Clay had acquired some Dungeons and Dragons books. I don't know how Clay acquired these books, because he also had acquired a large amount of dice that I don't know where he got that from. I bought it from him like a year later for like $8. I still have it. It's awesome. I have no idea where Clay got these books, as he was wont to do to acquire things sometimes. So we're playing, and I will never forget it. It was amazing. They introduced me to the game. Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition advanced 2nd edition of Dungeons & Dragons. THACO. 2-hit armor class 0. That's right, kids. Now I want you to remember this. All you young kids that are coming on with 3rd edition and Pathfinder and 4th edition with powers, and even 5th edition, which is great, and we're happy to have you. But armor class used to go the opposite way. Having a low armor class was actually better than having a high armor class, because the math was all crazy and wacky. And for those of you guys watching me that are even older, Ed, you guys, I'm sure you guys, played D&D before that. I'll never forget sitting down and playing over at Chad's house. We were like curled up in his room on the floor. I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and we're curled up on the floor, like in this little corner, and there's no tokens, there's no maps, there's no nothing. We don't know spells. I don't even know that it's a game. It didn't even cross my mind of the word setting, or that the world we're playing in has a history. I had never seen Lord of the Rings at this point, but I had read The Hobbit, and it was incredible. I'll never forget playing a wizard and rolling, and I'll never forget casting my first magic missiles off with those D4s, and it was just spectacular. It was just the most incredible experience. It was like my eyes had been opened to this whole new world, and I was so excited to go home and tell my parents about this fun, new, exciting game. Because around this time, I'm pretty sure there was like the Nintendo 64. And so, it was like, I was really big into GoldenEye and Donkey Kong 64. And of course, Ocarina of Time, and stuff like that. And so I had found this game, Dungeons and Dragons, that was like, I could do anything. I could do anything. I could stab my buddies. I could rescue princesses. I could dig a hole for no fucking reason. I'm a hole digger. I'm a magic using, fireball wielding hole digger. And it was incredible. It was just the most spectacular experience. But here's the caveat. We didn't have, there wasn't Critical Role. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't other people showing people how to play and what the game is. So you make these, when you introduce somebody to the game, there's just assumptions made. And they learn as they go, because, I'm like 9. We sat down to play Dungeons and Dragons for the first time, and we're rolling up characters, and they're kind of telling me, okay, this, and this, and here's your strength, and here's your wisdom. And there was no, there was no way to play. There was nothing to give us a baseline of what the game is. So it was spectacular. It was just us sitting around on the floor, listening to Chad's older brother Clay call out to us about these orcs and casting obscuring mist and slinging magic missiles, and Danny was slicing and cutting into goblins and orcs. It was just magical. But my pops, he wasn't having any of it. I never really got a chance to really play Dungeons & Dragons and continue on after that. I had a few moments from here and there, and I always felt this longing. I always felt this longing to play. And I know it sounds corny, right? I longed to play. But man, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I couldn't play. I couldn't play at all. Now, don't feel sad for me. I'm fine, okay? But I always wanted to play, and I just couldn't in my household. So when we get to high school, right across the street from us is a comic shop. Like, right across the street. And this is when third edition comes out and 3.5 comes out. So we start meeting across after school from time to time, and we would play a game here and a game there, and everything was great. And we continued on. We graduated high school, and it was so hard to get games going. There was no campaigns. It was always ever just here's my one character for this one game. It didn't even cross our minds, even at 18, 19 years old, that we could run like every week the same characters. Like, Never, we would just say, hey, we played a game, and if we didn't finish, maybe we would finish that up the next time, but probably not. And then my buddies introduced me to Pathfinder, and I was, no, that's not Dungeons & Dragons. I'm a D&D guy. That's not, whatever. And so then I fell in love with Pathfinder. It was everything I loved about 3.5. It was everything I loved about 3rd edition. And it was cleaned up. It was even more neat, if you will. Perception checks versus like a spot and a listen and stuff like that. And it was wonderful. And we had some times, we had some fun times playing here and there, but it was always a pain in the ass to keep playing the game. And then years later, I've met my wife. I think at this point I had met my wife, but we weren't really serious together. We were just kind of dating. And I had found Roll20. And Roll20 was so overly complicated and overly confusing, and things were just a nightmare for me. because it was like so intimidating. And you got to understand, guys, Roll20 when it started is not the same Roll20 that it is today. There were no character sheets. There weren't character sheets. If I'm recalling correctly, there weren't character sheets. You had to like put your character sheet in through other like Mythweavers or something like that. I tried it. I joined a group. I flaked on them because I didn't like the game, and they wanted to like play in between week to week to week to week over the text. And I had other things going on. Then my wife was getting pregnant, and it just was chaos. And then after my son was born, or maybe it was right before my son was born, I went back and tried Roll20, and it had been vastly improved. They had new character sheets, and they were adding new features, and Roll20 had become a success. It had been around for a couple years now at this point, and I was like, cool, let me just try this out. I'm missing this. I don't want to play MMOs anymore. I don't want to play Star Wars The Old Republic. Like, I want to do something else. And so I put a quick post up on Roll20 to look for a game, and I said, hey, I made Dungeon Master, but I'd like to play. I'm new, blah, blah, blah. And a guy by the name of Levi, who I now consider a very good friend of mine, ended up jumping in, and we kind of put this one-shot group together where we're going to start doing one-shots every week. And we were inviting people from Canada, and we were inviting people from Florida and New York, and it was all over the place. We actually sat down and started playing every week, even though it wasn't a campaign yet. Every week. And it was like I was back at 8 or 9 years old. It was the same magic. There'd been such a long gap after I graduated high school and kind of played a little bit of Pathfinder, and then some years went by that I wasn't doing any games. And it was just every bit as magical playing Pathfinder again on Roll20 from my childhood. It was the same fun. It was the same spells. It was the same wonderment. We didn't even care about the maps. It was enough to have character sheets to just kind of use and just get by. And we're laughing and joking, and I could show up every week because even though I had other responsibilities going on, it was just easy. There wasn't driving over to somebody's house. I wasn't giving 6 hours every week. I was giving 3. I could do 3 from my house with no commute time. I could do that. Then, of course, things spiraled on from there, and I learned and I loved Roll20, and I started getting really into it, and I started learning about how to do stuff. And then 5th edition came out, and at this point, the group had shifted from Levi and me and some strangers to Levi and me and a bunch of my real-life friends from high school, and we were all playing, and we started Horde of the Dragon Queen. The first time we played 5th edition was just like, we all immediately finished the game and we're just like, did you guys have a lot of fun playing this instead of Pathfinder? And everybody was like, yeah. From there, things continued on and continued on and continued on and continued on. So I'm sorry that the answer is not simple. The answer was generational, because I kept being able to play into the game and then not having the chance to again. Now that I finally have a little bit of control over my life, I love it. I love tabletop role-playing games. And I want you guys to know that every week when I invite you guys to subscribe, because I love role-playing games, I really, really mean it. And I think a lot of it has to do to remembering back on those first few magic missiles and obscuring mists. Yeah, I took that spell. And it just makes me smile even thinking about it. So let's talk about some of your first experiences playing a Dungeons & Dragons, how you guys were introduced. Please, put all that stuff in the comment. I love reading that stuff. It makes me smile to hear other people's stories and their first experiences with the games, because this is a game that I just love so much, and I love sharing it with you guys. So as always, if this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'll be putting out new videos every week on DM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and as always, may your games be filled with wonderful memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time. Okay, let's get some B-roll here. Oh,